Hello everyone and welcome to this episode. Today I'm going to show you how you can add color to your character step by step. If you are good at sketching but not really happy with your coloring result, this video may help you. Please feel free to download this characters file as well as my custom brushes from the link in the description if you would like to try and repeat this process for practicing. We will implement a grayscale version first, and then in part 2 we will add the color and finalize the character. So in the first part, let's deal with our values. So I've got my line and shape as a separate layer, and I'm creating a new layer, naming it values. The great thing about starting by values is that, number one, you don't need to worry about hue and saturation, basically color. Number two, you will define the contrast of your work, which piece is gonna be darker and which one is gonna be brighter. You will define the forms, light and shadow in this stage, and you will be able to see your character in a more 3D looking form. So if you think about that, you are defining a lot of things for your character without even touching the colors. It's like you're kind of sculpting it with clay. I'm simply just trying to put enough variation for different pieces so that it's easy to read. Try to spend as much as time you need in this stage. You can come up with different variations, different values, and then see which one works best for your character. Some people prefer to convert this grayscale version to color version by simply using hue saturation and color balance or curve. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna render it once in grayscale and then we'll paint the color version again. So next, we want to define our lighting direction on a separate layer, and we will blend it to our values. So for this character, I thought since the rabbit has ordered bubble tea, it's probably sometime in the morning, like 10 AM, so that's why I came up with this direction. By the way, I named the layer light, but in fact we are painting shadows. Maybe I should have named it shadows. But please note that I set this layer from normal to multiply. This is very important. When you want to add light and shadow to your character, try to think how it can help your character's story and its impression. For example, in this case, I wanted to have both characters and the bubble tea in the light, because this triangle is my short story and it's my focus point. I highly encourage you not to rush in this stage. Try to play with your character and find areas that should cast shadows, and it's okay if the shadows are not like 100% physically accurate. If it feels just right, then that's enough. And here I created another layer and call it contact shadows. So contact shadows is basically a soft shadow that happens when two surfaces are so close to each other that ambient light cannot travel there, cannot reach there. Therefore, it's gonna get darker. And please keep in mind that we should set contact shadow layer to multiply, just like the shadow layer. Let's not forget about the reflections. So here I added another layer on top to add the reflections, and I set this to color dodge. So reflections, color dodge, shadows, multiply. So here I'm done for the first part. And in the second part, we want to implement the color version. To start, I created a new layer to paint my local colors and started by adding the skin tone. For me, it's always a good point to start. And you know, after doing the grayscale version, I was not really happy with his expression. So I kept his mouth as a separate layer. I thought I may change it later, which I did at the end, and we will get to that point. I also changed my line drawing from black to red. It's just personal preferences. It helps me to having a better feeling. If you feel you're not sure about choosing color for your character, it's good to find some references. For example, here in Thailand, we have Grab delivery that they all wear green suits, so I'm using green suit. I wanted to use warm colors for this guy's face, for the bubble tea, and for the rabbit, because again, these are my main subjects and I like to keep my viewers' attention on these areas, and I'm gonna use colder colors for the rest. If you feel you can't find the right color, just put some colors on the canvas and then play with the color balance. It's always helpful. If you feel you can't find the right color composition, just put your initial colors, your initial ideas on the canvas and use the color balance. It helps to harmonize your colors. And for me, it's the same as tuning an instrument. It's really helpful. When you are painting the local colors, keep in mind that we don't want to add any shadow or reflection on this layer. But feel free to add color variation. For example, we can add slightly darker red on the nose or on the cheeks, or add some dirt on the jacket or trouser. These all can be considered as local colors. This way of layer by layer painting is quite analytic way of rendering, but it helps to understand what happens to local colors when they mix with the light and the shadow color. I was not happy with the feeling of the eyes, so I painted again. You know, obviously eyes are very important. This is a point that everybody look at it. So here I'm using the same shadow layer that we painted in part 1. Shadow color depends on the environment. For example, here I'm thinking they are somewhere in a jungle with blue sky, so I'm setting my shadow color to blue. But for the skin, we should make it a bit more like reddish color, a bit warmer, because there is subsurface scattering happening for the skin, which means sunlight enters the skin and then scatters. And don't forget that we set the shadow layer to multiply earlier in the part 1. So contact shadows again. So here I'm painting contact shadows. Same as part 1, we want to make its color a bit warmer here in the color version, because contact shadow is where the blue ambient light couldn't have reached. And here I'm just adding a background. I didn't want to have pure white for now, and I'm thinking about final presentation as well, whether I want to have a background or not. You know guys, you can define a lot of forms on contact shadow layer. For example, roundness of the face or body, or folds of the jacket or trouser. This is something that can be painted on contact shadow layer. So at this point I decided to change his mouth expression, and since I had the mouth on a separate layer, it was quite easy and fast to just remove it and paint it again. And here I decided to merge all the layers. I thought I'm at a good point to merge them all, and started to add reflections. So again, for the reflection layer, you want to set it to color dodge. And when you use color dodge, try to not using like very bright colors, because color dodge is very strong. And by the way, you don't necessarily need to merge all the layers. I merged them because I felt I'm not gonna make any changes to my light and shadow. So merging them gives me just a bit more freedom to work. But for example, if you wanna try another lighting condition for your character, it would be better if you don't merge them and simply just remove the light and shadow layer and paint it again to give, for example, another mood to your character. So from here on, I'm just playing with my character. I sometimes take a break and I come back to my character with a fresh eye to see how much more can I improve it. As I was finalizing these characters, I decided to add glasses to my rabbit. I thought it would be cool to give her a more nerdy look. You know, maybe she's a programmer who has ordered bubble tea to start her day. You know, coding is not easy, so she needs something to boost her brain. So bubble tea works. It works for me. And again, please feel free to download this character's file as well as my brushes if you want to try this process on your own. And I would be happy to see your version. So feel free to give it a try. Alright guys, we are almost done with this character. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and please let me know if you have any question or if there is anything that you would like me to cover in the next video. Keep in touch. And as always, thank you for watching, and I see you in the next video.